Hello everyone. Today we're going to be talking about the body lengths activity that we'll be doing with the students. So the goals of this activity are to build off the understanding about unit conversions that we already started on when we started talking about unit conversions the previous week. We're going to continue doing that using spinners and equations, and in doing so we're going to learn about traditional Hawaiian units of length. So I have this nice spread that sort of illustrates the main ones. And we won't be using all of them, but we'll be using some of them. And I know that they can be a little weird to pronounce. So the piece of advice that I received was when you're trying to pronounce Hawaiian words, it's good to just try to pronounce every vowel. And this little apostrophe that you see here in places, like here and here, that's called a glottal stop. So like when you say uh-oh, like the back of your throat closes a bit. So for example, this would be kiko'o. Whereas this would be poho, and I think we're also going to work with iwile. So just kind of practice maybe saying those words because they can be a little foreign if you're not used to it at first. That way you're ready to show the kids how to say these words. Okay, so that was just a pronunciation note. The actual activity is going to start by comparing some of these lengths. So this is really getting you warmed up for doing those unit conversions. So you can start off by talking about, the Hawaiian Islands, the people of Hawaii. Like ask your students, who's been to Hawaii? Has anyone been to Hawaii? Or do you want to go? That kind of thing. What do you know about Hawaii? And then once you've had that conversation, you can move into some of the numbers, some of the math. So the first question that we're asked is, one kiko'o is about the same as blank poho. Okay, so we have to remember kiko'o is one hand width and a poho is one shorter width, I suppose. So when we're doing these conversions, we don't want to try to use a ruler or anything. These measurements are really meant to be done with your body. And so this is a very good place to encourage your students to use their bodies and use kinematics to understand what's going on. So I wouldn't try to write out equations for this right away. Literally, to decide how many poho goes into kiko'o, you should just get people's hands and start comparing them side by side. So say you got one student's hand right here, and so this would be a kiko'o, and then how many poho, how many of these do we need to stretch across it? Well, it looks like we need at least one, and then if we put another one there right next to it, it looks like that's about the right length. So it looks like one kiko'o is about the same as two poho. And so you do kind of the same thing. And then you say, okay, so 2.5 poho. So we're going to get, we're going to need two people for this one. You're going to get, two and a half hands out. And then one iwile, right, is this length. And you're just going to have people measure, well, about how much does that look? Maybe it's about a third. Feel free to estimate about these numbers. They're really meant to be, playful and really feeling the math through these. And then we've got some open-ended ones where you can sort of ask your own questions, like what sort of conversions can you come up with? And as you're doing this math, don't forget to have the conversation about these units of measurement in culture. What are the advantages of using these units of measurement, right? They're easily accessible because they're using body parts and such. What are some disadvantages? Well, different people have different sized bodies. So really you can fold this into the conversation as students work with these measurements. Okay, once we've done this first page, you'll move on to the next one, which is where you're going to use a spinner. And this is building off the spinner activity that we would have done in the previous week. And so when you're doing this spinner activity, it is good to refer back to that activity to really build on previous understanding for this. So the activity is going to go similarly to the previous one. So you're gonna spin your spinner and you're going to get some units. And if you get the same unit twice, just re-roll. Then you roll a die to say what your P is. So say for example, I rolled a foot. So that was one, and then another one I got a cubit, an Egyptian cubit, and let's say I rolled a 3. but 3 feet, I suppose, not foot, is how many cubits? And then you would work with your students to solve this equation. A fun fact, an Egyptian cubit was based on the length of an arm from the elbow to the tip of your middle finger. So it's about 18 inches. And so maybe you can have a conversation about how this traditional Egyptian unit of measurement is similar to the Hawaiian ones. And so you can really have that conversation as well. So there's a lot of culture and a lot of math in this activity.